see all the time. And that's from David Clark. Otherwise, stock-ish. Growth Spasms, Calling Heart Expeditions. Postmortem Lunge, though. No one will ever see that one coming.
And then I don't need, this is a Tezzeret deck, a 3-color Tezzeret deck.
Kind of neat.
This Chili Lorren.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
And this is a pretty interesting deck. I had a bit of a love affair with Tezzeret decks for a while. Phillip. Oh, my bad. It looks like totally looks like a C. Phillip or Chili. Okay, well, sorry, Phillip.
We're also hungry, so we apologize.
It's true. So looks like David started off with a Evolving Wilds.
And a mulligan to 5.
A mulligan to 5. Valakut is not a deck that mulligans terribly well.
That deck, sometimes you get those 7-card hands that are just unbelievable, and other times you mulligan into oblivion.
That's a Rampant Growth?
Yes.
What's that? Is that?
It's a Player Rewards Rampant Growth.
That's a sweet Rampant Growth. I've never seen one of those before.
Some of the later Player Rewards cards I didn't really know existed as much as the system was kind of going out, like the Cruel or the Doomblade and.
I got a Doomblade. I got a Doomblade. I got a Sign in Blood. I got a Harrow.
Yeah.
I never saw that Rampant Growth.
But the Rampant Growth is kind of neat.
So Phillip is playing a Grixis Tezzeret deck. He has no copies of Torpor Orb in his main deck, which is one of the cards that certainly drew me to Tezzeret, and certainly a card that would be very nice to have against Valakut here. But he has a lot more sort of creature defense.
Yeah. 2 Zenith, 4 Galvanic Blast,
4 Contagion Clasps.
Yeah.
He is on the Tezzeret's Gambit plan, which I was a big advocate of toward the end of my messing around with Tezzeret. I haven't actually tried Tezzeret in a while. It might be good again. Well, one of the decks that made Tezzeret really sort of a poor choice in my mind was Tempered Steel. When Tempered Steel was very popular, it was difficult for the Tezzeret decks to really keep up with them. But now that Tempered Steel has at least somewhat fallen out of favor, it's possible that it's time for a resurgence of Tezzeret.
Yeah, and then speaking of that Chalice, there it is in play right now. Phillip has Chalice and Mox versus David, mulligan to 5, not doing much. Going to serve in there with Inkmoth Nexus, looks like.
And Tezzeret.
Yep, Nexus and Tezzeret.
The namesake card comes down, and
or no, it looks like he activated the Nexus
and made it a 5/5.
Activated the Nexus to get his Mox Opal online.
Okay, gotcha.
So he could cast Tezzeret. His mana is not being that kind to him. Very shiny deck. So there's a 4th land from David Clark, but against a 5/5 Nexus, I don't think that's going to be fast enough.
Here Phillip can just animate one of his other artifacts and attack for 10.
Yep, and then that's it. Next turn. Tezzeret is, when it came out, a lot of people heralded him as like the next Jace, very powerful, and he's a linear strategy, so his role is a little more niche. But when he's in a deck that can support him, he is so good.
I think one of the problems that Tezzeret ran into was that Tezzeret was popular, came into the format when decks were playing stuff like Manic Vandal, stuff like Shatter, Divine Offering, all to deal with really swords and batter skulls. I played the Metalcraft Tezzeret deck at Grand Prix Singapore, which had a number of problems. One of which was the fact that all of my opponents had Shatters. So,
but you still managed to make top 32, right?
I got top 64.
Top 64.
But and that's the game.
That's just that David Clark cannot do much.
He could not recover from his mulligan to 5.
So let's look at the sideboards here. Creeping Corrosion, a card in David Clark's sideboard. There for Tempered Steel, but it will happily destroy some Chalices and Mox Opals.
So Phillip has access to Flash Freeze,
Torpor
Orb.
That's also coming in.
He has a Doomblade in his sideboard, which I think will likely come in to replace probably. His weakest cards seem like they're Black Sun Zenith and Galvanic Blast.
I agree. I mean,
Contagion Clasp is also pretty poor.
Yeah, he's got actually quite a bit to take out. He bring an Inquisition.
This is actually a pretty fortunate game 1 win for him, because it looks like his deck's actually very loose against Valakut in game 1. Yeah, he has a lot of very underpowered cards.
I think the only way he can win is do exactly what he did, where play Tezzeret, just serve. And
to be fair, which is a very legitimate road to victory.
Yeah,
that can kill people
definitely.
Pretty quickly.
I mean, that's the main way his deck can win. His only win conditions are Tezzeret, Inkmoth Nexus, and Creeping Tar Pit.
And Batterskull.
Batterskull.
Yes, 1 Batterskull.
Oh, 1 Batterskull. Have you ever cast Batterskull with Mishra in play? It's awesome.
With Mishra in play?
Yeah.
No. I have animated Batterskull with Tezzeret after the token died.
That's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet.
It's like
too.
he is still a creature.
If only he also had lifelink.
Yeah.
So yeah, tons of cards for Phillip to take out here. Tons to bring in.
I mean, Spellskite's pretty poor. So it looks like his sideboarding, Inquisition, Flash Freeze, Torpor Orb, Doomblade.
Quite a bit.
That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
But there's really no problem there. You take out 4 Blast, 2 Zenith, 4 Clasp. That's already 11 cards. I mean, maybe you just leave a Clasp. So
I think Clasp is okay. Spellskite's okay.
Or Galvanic Blast to nug their Oracles.
Yeah, I mean, Galvanic Blast is, again, like, okay. You often... it seems like you will relatively frequently want to be able to just kill them. You can kill Oracle, you can kill just player. The 4 damage is not trivial, though not ideal. Clasp is not really that good here. He doesn't. I'm actually somewhat surprised he doesn't have anything big to go up to when he's on the Gambit Chalice Clasp plan. Like he doesn't have access to Karn
or even just Wormcoil Engine or something.
Right. I mean, he doesn't even have Wormcoil on his sideboard. I mean, Batterskull's actually often better than Wormcoil in a lot of matchups because it comes down faster and can regrow. Though if the Wormcoil is dying, then you're getting some action from that too.
All right. Well, let's see on David Clark's side. What is he going to bring in? Creeping Corrosion.
Creeping Corrosion very clearly. He has a Gaia's Revenge and a Nature's Claim. Those all seem like they're. He actually has 2 Nature's Claim in his main deck.
Yep. Yeah, some Valakut decks are doing that now, which is pretty hateful.
Well, that was one of the things that we're talking about when Valakut was sort of so well positioned for a given weekend. One of the reasons that it was effective in the field was that a lot of the field was Cobblade that were leaning on their swords to win the Valakut matchup, and playing Nature's Claim in your main deck gave you a very solid answer to that threat. That said, nowadays people have Mental Misstep in their main decks, which makes the Nature's Claim plan a little worse.
It does change quite a bit.
Especially in my Bladebreaker deck, so people have asked me, like, why in the world do you have a Nature's Claim and Unnaturalize in your sideboard rather than 2 of 1? And the answer is actually partly related to Mental Misstep. I want to be able to have something that can't get misstepped when misstep's already good against me at stopping Bird and Lightning Bolt in some situations. But also sometimes you don't want to give your opponent life with that particular deck at least.
Also, just keeps them guessing and
Right. Oh, and I mean sometimes people think you have well, if you played one of each, like geez, like if you play both of them in one game, like
right,
how many more are they playing around? And there are actually situations against like Splinter Twin. That deck at least has a ton of different things that mess with their possible combo, so they can never be sure of when it's safe to go for it. It's like, well, if you're on Mono Combust and Dismembers, like Mutagenic Growth makes it safe to go for it. But if then you have Active Treason or you have a Disenchant, like it's totally breaking it up. So we're back here for game 2.
Turn 1 Verdant Catacombs for David Clark.
Looks like both players kept their hands.
Yeah, both players kept, and David played Catacombs Pass. Phillip cracking a Scalding Tarn though. Probably going to see a Preordain here. That's what I'd imagine, unless he has like Verdant Effigy or it's got to be Preordain, I think.
A very shiny island.
Such a...
He did actually pick the correct picture for this island. That's the best.
Yeah, a lot of people like the Bowl Island, but I agree. I prefer
the
that
Bowl
one over
the
the
Bowl Island is like, I don't know.
I don't like the Bowl.
I like the Storm Island. The Storm Island's sweet looking.
I think that island is good. Although to be fair, I'm actually not super partial to the Zendikar lands. I was really big on them to start.
Really?
I kind of fell off in favor over time.
I use Zendikar lands in everything. And there are specific pictures of each land that I use.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think every one of them has there's a favorite.
So it looks like that was top.
I think you put top bottom there.
Oh. It looks like he's repositioning over a card in the bottom, so that's probably true. David fetches. What land is that? Is that a Guru land?
I don't think it's a Guru land. I think... Is that
like
6th edition? Or no, I guess that's Black
Is that
Border.
a Portal?
So
it's a Portal land.
Oh, Portal. There we go.
Portal, okay.
Yeah, Portal. Portal has some good artwork.
Yeah, Portal used to be what I used. Then it was Unglued or Unhinged or whichever one it was. Now it's Zendikar.
And there's Explorer.
Portal was the original set that had the big mana symbol in the artwork.
Oh, really? I didn't realize it was Portal. I thought it changed with 6.
No, it was originally Portal that had the big mana symbol in the text box, and that was one of the big reasons that I liked using those lands because they looked interesting.
I also just like some of the artwork on them. Some of the islands, I was kind of partial to. Cracks the Scalding Tarn there.
crack fetch, take 0.
Yeah,
Not Conley Woods.
Crack fetch. Take 1 for the fetch. And I think is that another one of the famed Bull Islands, or the famed, Storm Islands.
I really, the people who like to play with foils, more power to them. But I can't see your cards; they're way too shiny.
Let me tell you, as someone who's watched Edgar Flores play so many times, it's like, come on, dude, you're just not making it easy on us.
Just gonna sort of guess what you have in play at any given time.
So he played a turn 2 card that drew him a card. It's cantripping artifact.
I believe Prophetic Prism.
Prophetic Prism. That's what that sounds like. All right, so David unloads on mountains. Now those are pretty. Are those Portal also? I think so.
I think so.
I've seen that artwork before. And we'll see what Phillip chooses to do this turn. Now, Prophetic Prism is an interesting card. It's kind of like a filler card, but it does have that role of fixing your mana, especially in a deck that plays Tectonic Edges and such. And there's a Inquisitor's Disposition of Kozilek, a little late to the party, but
He takes the legal card. Is that a? I think that's a forest in the middle there.
I think that's Creeping Corrosion, actually.
Oh, is it?
I think that's Corrosion Titan Summoning Trap. Because I don't see the mana symbol in the text box.
Oh, I guess you're right. Didn't he? Oh, he explored twice. He didn't actually Rampant Growth. So he only has access to 1 green at the moment.
Right. So he cannot currently cast any of the big 3 in his hand. But if he just draws a single green source, down is gonna come Titan, Trap, and even Corrosion.
Yeah, I mean that trap is a big deal. The fact that Phillip did board in quite clearly his flash freezes, and being able to power through a flash freeze here. I mean, Phillip's deck doesn't have access to much counter magic at all.
All right. Well, there is a Brittle Effigy, and it's gonna crack. All right. So he gets this mountain. Now this full art mountain is not my favorite full art mountain. What is your favorite full art mountain, Brian?
It's it's hard. I don't know who the artist is. It's like the dark looking one, like in the sky.
So it's not like the Arc Slogger one, or the one with like the big gate, the big arc.
I don't know which one you're talking about. I'm gonna try and find it.
All right, so David finds his Verdant Catacombs, and
so
now he's gonna be able to cast his.
It is Titan time.
Time for a Titan. And there's land, and I'm sure he's shuffling, but I'm sure he's just gonna go for a Titan.
I mean, you should probably just go. I got a Titan. See if, well, I mean, to be fair, he has a trap too, so he may need to.
All right, there's the Titan. Yeah, but his opponent only has a mountain untapped. So
oh, he does. I thought he had two mana. So there's
Valka,
Titan.
Valka.
Now Phillip is in much worse shape.
And I think we'll see a game 3 very shortly. Phillip does have that Brittle Effigy, but David has a trap he can use, which will...
Brittle Effigy is also pretty expensive to use. It costs a total of 5 mana. He has a Doomblade. I mean, that Titan's certainly going to die.
So it's...
This is actually the one I use.
Oh, that's what I was talking about. Like the kind of Arc Slogger one.
Arc Slogger? Oh, okay. I always just sort of saw it as a peak.
All right.
Is the Veronique?
Doomblade way to prove Titan. So which is the artist on that one? This is the
one I use. Veronica or Veronique or something. Maynard. I think she was in Paris.
If we'd love to know what your favorite basic lands are, so let us know on Twitter.
And this is also her forest that I like. I apparently like her style. Did she do my favorite island? Yes, she did. She did my favorite island too. She's apparently my favorite land artist.
Wow. Quickly supplanting John Avon. So David Clark has Terramorphic Expanse there, and
my favorite planes. Okay, I'm gonna go back to this game. Looking at art. So
I just thought it was like kind of a very tiny.
Wow, it's actually she actually did all of the Zendikar lands I like. That's insane.
All right, there's Summoning Trap. So Phillip's gonna attack with Inkmoth Nexus, and it's trap time. Flash freeze from Phillip.
Oh, so
guess it's not trap time.
It's a trap, but it's a very obvious trap.
Yeah.
So we avoided it.
It was super obvious.
I'm on to you. And your traps.
David is sitting on Terramorphic Expanse, though, so he can start activating both his Valakuts if he finds a single way to get a mountain. And that's Expanse number 2.
That's a way to get a mountain?
So those Valakuts are alive. Attacking with that Inkmoth Nexus sounds a lot less exciting now. Now Phillip's kind of on the back foot here. Although he dealt with that Titan, dealt with the trap, he still has to deal with the lands. And that's the scary thing about that card is,
right.
and the next to play it, is the fact that it's just a land that can kill you, which is kind of absurd when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, the threat of Valakut, it's not only that it kills you, it can kill anything you play, too.
Anything you play, and there's no activation cost. It's not like a man land or something, right? There's no activation cost.
It's like every single card is... Oh, well, Titanic Edge takes out one of them, at least.
Okay. So one Valakut still up. And he's going to activate 2 Nexi and serve, and I imagine one of those Nexi is going to... Yep, here we go.
Is it the plural of Nexus is Nexi?
I think so, yeah. Pretty sure.
I don't know. Maybe.
Pretty sure it's Nexi. I'm an English major, so we're going to say it's Nexi. Alright, and so he double cracks, kills on the Nexi, drops 2 poison, or raises the 2 poison, I guess.
Decision players, if you signed up for standard win box number 2, please come to the main event stage. Your event is ready. Standard
So
win box.
David has used a number of his Evolving Wilds, and Terramorphic Expanses, and he needs those to be able to actually take the Nexus down.
Yep.
So
it's true. You know, I was thinking, after Innistrad comes out, we will have no Expanse, no Evolving Wilds. It will be very strange to not have either of those cards around after we've been around for so long.
It is pretty weird. We do have enemy colored dual lands, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, those are insane.
We go from having
and so Phillip Inquisitions, we see a trap in a David Clark's hand.
but it's interesting the impact of fetch lands versus dual lands. The enemy color fetch lands make it pretty easy to get access to 1 mana of whatever you want in different colors, but the enemy color dual lands make it so you can actually play doubles of enemy colors much more easily.
Right. But it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm excited to play with those lands, and plus, like we were talking about earlier, the colorless lands seem insane. So there's Creeping Corrosion for Brutal Effigy and Prophetic Prism.
It is the playing the Effigy out there is a little, knowing that his opponent had the Corrosion in his hand is a little odd. I don't know what he has left in his hand, but Effigy can basically just be played as a sorcery to kill something. Then again, if a Titan resolves, it's entirely possible that Philip's just dead, so maybe he was just playing it for Metalcraft.
Huh. There's the Raging Ravine from David Clark. That'll give him a dude if he wants to serve. And Philip thinking... I mean, that's the only way this deck really has to win, except for, Singleton, Batterskull, a couple lands, is Tezzeret. So you have to kind of get Tezzeret down, which can be an issue. Okay, well, here's Contagion Class.
That can win the game eventually.
With some clever proliferating. So he's going to serve with the Nexus, which will bring David up to 3 poison.
That is not the fastest way to win, however. Rager Ravine can just kill him faster than that.
Yeah, it's so true.
Or
Summoning
Trap.
And if he finds
and
Titan,
that's a hit.
There's a Titan. And we will remember that Titan. Here we go. Titan comes down. Going to search up a pair of lands, probably Valakut Mountain.
This is a pretty bad spot for Phillip here.
Yeah, I mean, he dealt with what David had pretty well, but...
I mean, this is one of the problems of a deck like Tezzeret is that it relies on a small number of win conditions, and here we're seeing Phillip was able to sort of weather the initial rush. It's funny calling Titans a rush, but weather the initial threats that David was able to produce, but really hasn't been able to put anything together that he's able to win with.
So that Titan's in play, and David even took the time to the Brittle Effigy, or kill the Brittle Effigy, so now Phillip has to expend another card to deal with that Titan if he has it.
I mean, if he still had that Brittle Effigy, he'd still be in very bad shape because he's facing Raging Ravine plus
Triple Valakut.
Yeah, many a Valakut. So,
but at least he wouldn't be just dead to an attack, you know. Let's see. I think Phillip has 2 copies of the same card in his hand. Maybe not. They look like they're both red. Not sure what exactly they could be.
well, they're apparently nothing that can deal with the Titans. So.
All right, and that'll be that. Phillip is going into game 3 after David Clark snatched that one. Didn't really snatch it, more like brute forced it right down. Yeah, I mean, David had his threats dealt with, and Phillip just...
Yeah, Phillip looked like he was
capitalize.
at least somewhat in control, but you can't really be too in control against a deck that can, generate an enormous amount of pressure from a single threat at any moment.
Right, I mean, especially one of your big threats is a land. That's, once again, one of the very scary things about that deck is, playing against Valakut, they'll have, no cards. They'll have, a Valakut in play and 5 mountains, and you think you have tons of time, and then all it takes is a single top deck Titan, and you're just out of the game. So, I mean, the cards in that deck have just so much raw power at the top end. And he's got probably 4 Inferno, 4 Primeval. Yeah, 4 Inferno Titan, 4 Primeval Titan. Plus the 2 Postmortem Lunge to get them back. So, yeah, I mean, the deck, when it doesn't mulligan and you get a good hand, it is very difficult to beat. But the deck can be very inconsistent at times, too. It's certainly...
So, I mean, you definitely... one of the most important things to being able to beat Valakut is being able to pressure them. That was one thing that when Valakut was extremely popular, say, last year around the World Championships, it was very difficult for any sort of control deck to beat because, in the long game, the Valakut deck would win. I mean, typically, control decks are set up to win a longer game, but when you're fighting against the card Valakut and the card Primeval Titan, which... Even if it ever hits play, generates these Valakuts, it becomes very, very difficult to win a long game, especially when you're relying on something like Mana Link.
And that's why you invented Squadron Hawk, right?
Well, that was how we got to the Kago deck. We wanted something that could pressure them, that could put them in a situation where they needed to react. It was actually, as we were talking about before, the necessity of being aggressive with Gideon Jura in that matchup. That was really what was sort of my introduction to how you need to play aggressively even with control decks, because you can't give them the time to get to 9 mana and play a Titan that you can't mana link. You can't give them the opportunity to just sit there and continue to play out land. You needed to pressure them. Well, Squadron Hawk wasn't really there for Valakut. Squadron Hawk was more there for beating the other control decks, because you could go underneath their counter spells. You could go underneath their Jace Balerans and sort of get on the board and pressure them. But you need to be able to kill them. And there, Phillip was able to deal with the initial threats, but he couldn't close the game out and just ended up losing to one of the bombs that eventually hit.
And that's really why the pre-ban version of a Cowblade was so good against Valakut, because you just played Mystic, and if you got Sword down active, you could attack their resources so quickly, and you really depleted what they could do. All right, so Phillip leads on Mox Opal, Land, Preordain versus... Oh no, this is turn 2. So it looks like Phillip went Land, David went Evolving Wilds, pass back to Phillip. Phillip goes Mox Opal, Preordain, and he's just going to ship both cards.
It's a little odd that he played the Mox Opal there before he could actually use it. I think it's worth considering, keeping the Mox Opal in your hand so your opponent is a little off balance in terms of knowing what you can do on any given turn.
I mean, there's no reason to play it out. I mean, especially when your opponent has cards like Creeping Corrosion, when you can
even Nature's Claim.
Right.
You can put your opponent in a situation where they know that they're going to need to Nature's Claim something because you played the Mox Opal.
Right, and also it can just give you a boost out of nowhere. You could accidentally play a Tezzeret when your opponent think you couldn't or something like that.
Right, exactly.
All right, 2 mana from David Clark. We're going to see an Explore. That's really the pivotal card that accelerates you and digs you a little deeper into your deck. One of the best ramp spells we've seen in recent years. It's ramp in the sense you still have to have the land, and the best Valakut draws, it's very good. Let's see. 3rd land from Phillip.
That's a Tumble Magnet?
Tumble Magnet.
Tumble Wumble.
Very good against Valakut when you've got the pressure on them. But
It's a lot worse against Valakut decks that are trying to creep in corrosion.
yeah,
Because
that too.
when you're trying to deal with their pressure by playing out a bunch of artifacts. I mean, a creeping corrosion here is pretty devastating. Phillip loses 3 cards. This is what I was talking about earlier when I think one of the reasons that Tezzeret hasn't really shown as an extremely powerful deck is that there have been so many powerful artifact based decks that players have needed to play cards like Nature's Claim or Divine Offering even in their main deck. And here, if David has a creeping corrosion now, this is could be the beginning of the end for Phillip.
Yeah, I was surprised to see corrosion in there, but people that still have it, it is brutal. I mean, especially against any Tempered Steel decks that are hiding out there. All right, there's a Growth Spasm. Now that's kind of a unique one we don't see too much of. We'll get him a land and an Eldrazi Spawn token. Phillip reads Eldrazi Spawn.
By the way, Nexuses is apparently the plural, not Nexi.
Nexuses?
Nexuses.
Nexuses? Nexi sounds so much better. I'm still going to call them Nexi. So,
Maybe you should, find a different major then.
No, I mean, I'm still just going to call them Nexi. Because I think Nexi is a cool word. And they should be Nexi. I'm going to start a petition, online petition, to change the plural of Nexus to Nexi.
I saved Latin.
Yeah, exactly.
Rushmore's an excellent movie.
I'm not familiar with the reference.
You laughed at my reference and you didn't even get it.
I thought it was hilarious, but I didn't get the reference.
It's Rushmore. It's like one of the greatest movies of all time.
Man.
That may not be true, but it's awesome.
All right, so Brittle Effigy and Tumble Magnet face off Eldrazi Spawn. Phillip needs to find some pressure. Tezzeret here would be very good for him if he has one. And there it is. There's the Tezzeret. Probably just -1 attack.
Are we going to see a beatdown effigy?
So true. Looks like Philip's trying to figure out what he wants to do with that Tezzeret.
Yep. The effigy is going aggro. Ooh, a blast. Taking out the
interesting. So it looks like there's a blast or two left in there. Takes out the blocker.
So we have a very, very aggressive Brittle Effigy coming in for 5. And now David, at the critical turn of Titan, or no. And it's a Summoning Trap. Summoning Trap can miss so much.
So there's really 8 great targets you can hit,
Yeah.
and then a couple less exciting ones. Oracle, I guess, is okay. But
I
don't
can't really.
see anything
It doesn't look like David's doing this quickly. So
yeah,
I'm guessing it's not an obvious decision of, hey, look, a Titan. But apparently, hey, look, a Titan.
Perhaps it was which Titan?
Yeah. How do I want to kill you? Though, I mean, he's actually, the Titan isn't that scary here. It's really the Valakuts that they're coming after it, because the Titan's going to be held down by the Tumble Magnet for at least the immediate future. How many mountains does David have in play?
4.
So he actually isn't even at the point where he can use those mountains to kill the Tezzeret animated artifacts. So I think Phillip here, he could animate Mox Opal and attack for 10 this turn.
Phillip's in a really good position right now.
Well, I mean, David still has a handful of cards, but given that what he played this turn was Summoning Trap, it's not as scary as it seems to indicate that he doesn't have. Oh, he's animating the. Oh wow!
Oh, and he has Galvanic Blast.
Okay, so that's actually just it.
Wow! All right, that is that. And Phillip Lorren with his Tezzeret deck advances to 3-0. Very nice. Tezzeret's not a card we've seen very much of lately, but
And the amount of damage